This was so significant that Asmongold came off of his break to talk about it. Let's see what Asmon has to say.
Hey guys, it's me again, and it's been a little while. Just before I get into the main topic of the video, I want to explain why there haven't been any videos. My dad has been in the hospital for the better part of a week now.
Oh, his dad is just in the hospital. It was something with his dad. He's just in the hospital. Okay.
Very serious situation. It has required my full attention. And because of that, I've been on calls, I've been dealing with other people, talking to members of the family, and doing everything that I need to be there for my dad and for my family during this situation. And because of that, I haven't been live and I haven't made a lot of videos. I apologize for that. Hopefully I'll be back as soon as possible. That being said, we had something insane happen today, and I was able to break away a little bit earlier, and I wanted to make a video about it and talk about the obvious and inevitable nature of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This happened a few hours ago, and it was probably one of the most gruesome and graphic, and this is coming from somebody who grew up on LiveLeak, videos I've ever seen. The first time I saw a video, I thought it was...
Neck shots are brutal. For someone who just said that they hate watching people die, I've seen enough war horror footage to know that neck shots are just horribly gruesome.
AI generated. The guy gets shot in the neck and blood is spurting out. I didn't even know it could do that. And it was absolutely fucking horrifying to see something like that happen in front of a massive audience of people. Now, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, Charlie Kirk has been a pretty noteworthy, controversial guy. He's a conservative. He goes to a lot of college campuses, does live debates. This is a pretty popular format nowadays, and Charlie Kirk has been popularizing it and utilizing it now for many years. And he was even featured in South Park recently because of it. Charlie Kirk definitely is not a super
open forums, open
person,
discussion,
but I would say that he's more of the moderate to, kind of extreme right wing. Very, very, I would say.
Yeah, that's a moderate right wing,
in my opinion, at least, especially. And this is where we're going.
He's definitely not far right wing. Far right wing is just as crazy as far left, and Charlie Kirk is definitely not that.
Especially compared to now. And what I think is going to happen now, because obviously these shootings like this don't really happen inside of a vacuum, and they never do, they never have. And I think that the situation that we have right now is that there is a tremendous amount of political violence that is advocated for, promoted, and allowed to exist on social media that has turned up the temperature in all political conversations, all social conversations, and all discourse on the internet in general, to a point where it's almost unrecoverable.
The internet has given people echo chambers that would have been unimaginable at any other point in history. With how people segregate themselves by beliefs on the internet, with how algorithms separate people, the echo chambers on the internet are insane.
You have people that are out there all the time advocating for violence, advocating for people to get killed. Somebody needs to take care of this guy. Somebody needs to deal with this. I wish he were dead. Won't somebody do it? The 8647, all of the crypto messaging and all the doxing, right? Why do you dox?
I don't know what some of those. What is 8647?
Address? It's to make other people that are insane, like the person who killed Charlie Kirk, it's to give them the ammunition they need to kill that person and to put that person's life in danger. That's why they're doing it. And so that's the reason why they want to find out the identities of ICE agents. That's the reason why they want to find out the identities of Tesla owners, like at the beginning of the year. It's so they can...
Doxing people should be a punishable and enforced crime. That should not be something that is acceptable.
Destroy their car and destroy their lives. And this isn't necessarily a one-sided thing. I think that in the last 5 years or so, especially since BLM, it's been a 90% left-wing thing. But that doesn't mean that the 10% right-wing people are right either. But I do think that now you're going to see a lot more right-wing people balancing out those scales. The fact is that you can take a knife to a gunfight all you want.
Yeah, things like this definitely are going to radicalize people, and not in the way that whatever evil person committed the act would like.
You want, and you can think that you're honorable, but you're going to end up being dead. And I think that's what right-wing people have done for a very long time. They've tried to speak above the political violence. They've tried to advocate above it and not try to stoop down to that level. But the issue is that a lot of these social media companies have expressed literally zero desire to even do the bare minimum of moderation. I think that two of the worst actors are Twitter or X and Reddit. Both of these platforms are full.
I would take it a step. I think that not only have they refused to moderate, I think that they encourage the radicalization of ideas with their algorithms. This is something that I see on my social media. Obviously, I have my beliefs, and so I interact, sometimes comment posts that I tend to agree with, and I voice my opinion somewhat. And I definitely see much more stuff that is taking my beliefs to extremes that I don't agree with than I see the opposite side of the aisle given to me in my feeds. The algorithm is going to give you the opinions that you agree with, and the opinions related to the opinions you agree with that may be more moderate or maybe more extreme. And so I think the algorithms make it worse. I don't think that this is a passive, oh, these people are just not moderating. I think that the way that social media is set up currently radicalizes people. And obviously, as a business, it helps with retention. It keeps people on there because people want to see things that they tend to agree with. I think it is harmful to society.
Of a bunch of extremist nut jobs that not only should have their accounts banned, but they should probably be put in mental institutions. And I think that now I find it to be kind of interesting taking a step back for a week or so and seeing how many people are coming around to the inevitable reality that this is the only path forward. There are so many people in society now that are just completely unhinged, under-medicated, and really completely insane.
Under-medicated? I think a lot of society is over-medicated. The ones who are under-medicated should be in asylums. Society is burning. We gotta put out the fire.
That you can't have a person like that running wild out in society. They cause problems for themselves, not to mention everybody else around them. And I think that the society, we need to have an honest conversation about how to deal with these people in a way that, and I'll be real, I don't really care about the people that are crazy. Their well-being and the way that, things are for them. Of course, obviously, I wouldn't want it to be bad, but it's certainly not important. Yeah. What's really important is all the people who aren't crazy, making sure that people that are not crazy, that are good actors, that are law-abiding citizens, are able to live a life of peace, a life of prosperity, and a life without fear of going on to...
People who are so crazy that they can no longer function in society. People are so crazy that they are no longer a productive member of society, or even a neutral member of society. As long as you're not actively harmful, then it should be fine. If you can't meet the bare minimum of not being actively harmful to society, then maybe we shouldn't let those people freely participate in society. Don't take what I just said there and make that too extreme, but bring back asylums, goodness sakes.
The subway, for example, as at the recent event as well. And I think that every single person in the world deserves to live in a place like that. And I don't want to see, America turn into a PvP server. And it sure seems like it is. I agree. And I think that I would rather not play PvP. We need to have honest conversations about what do you do with people that, get arrested 14 times. And it's not even a question, right? You put them in jail and you throw away the key and you compel them to work, and that way you can make the money back from imprisoning them forever. That's the way that you solve that problem. It's very simple, actually. But for some reason, the way that makes people feel has made them unwilling to look at this obvious truth. If you look in history, this is what we've always done in history, and it's because it works. And the problem is
It's been
that
more
now
effective some places
we have
than others.
so much of the discourse that's dominated by emotional thinking, that's dominated by the most unstable, the most virtue signal, the most, ridiculous, performative empathy possible, and that's defining a huge political voice in the country. This has become a tremendous detriment to everyone. And I think that with people like the shooter that probably shot Charlie Kirk, with that guy in the subway that stabbed that Ukrainian woman, or with that trans shooter that shot up the school, one thing that's common among all of them is that these people, in almost all cases, were verifiably nuts beforehand, and nothing ever was done about it. And until we can stomach the idea...
Well, the Minnesota shooter, I think that things were done that made them crazier than they were before. So things were done in that situation. It just, I think, made it worse, not better.
Of solving problems like that before they happen, we're going to keep having problems. And I think that with Charlie Kirk, it's very obvious that the amount of, political violence and advocating for political violence that's happening on the internet has turned up the temperature and created an environment and a culture where this type of behavior is normal. And not only is it normal, but it's actually encouraged. And the problem is that now people are acting on it. And you're starting to see this happen, and I think it's going to continue getting worse. I
hope it doesn't get worse. Please no. I hope that by some miracle we can recover without making it worse. I don't know how, but I know some of the steps we have to take. We got to stop villainizing people who have simple disagreements with us. This can be important here.
I think Charlie Kirk is going to be the last one, but I think that we will look at Charlie Kirk's death and see it as a turning point in this topic. And what I'm really trying to get at here with this entire point is that right now we are at a extremely pivotal moment. And I think that what's going to end up happening is that right-wing people are not going to continue to turn the other cheek. They're not going to continue to just, this is just a crazy left-wing radical. I think you're probably going to see right-wing people doing the same thing to left-wing people. And honestly, while I don't think this is a good thing,
I hope not. If right-wing people become as unhinged as the violent left-wing people, that's to be bad. Because the people on the right have more skills, as rude and blunt as that may sound, in terms of practical life skills, in terms of combat skills, in terms of survival skills. There's a lot more of that in people on the right than people on the left. And so if you make those people violent, then you're going to be in for a really bad time.
Certainly don't really feel that sorry for them, because a lot of left-wing people have no problem advocating for violence, or at least using coded language in order to advocate for violence. The fact is that there's a certain level of intellectual dishonesty that goes on in situations like this, where it's considered, this isn't actually what they meant, and no, this is actually some others. No, it is. It's exactly what they mean. They're trying to advocate for killing people that they disagree with. That's what's happening, and there's no talking around it. And to the extent that you try to, you're insulting the intelligence of anyone that you're speaking to. And I think that now you're going to start seeing a lot of right-wing people end up doing this to left-wing people now even more, because it's very clear that these social media platforms are not going to moderate this behavior. The FBI, for whatever reason, just refuses to deal with or have
the FBI is kind of
accountability for dealing with these obvious terrorists that are in the country. And because of that, I think you're going to start seeing an uptick of violence from right-wing people as well. And this is going to be, in my opinion, I don't really think the word is justified, because it's not justified, but the word is expected.
Not justified, but predictable. And I hope not. More than anything, goodness sakes, I hope not. But if it does happen, everything points to it could happen.
I think it's going to be expected. The fact is that, again, you bring a knife to a gunfight, you're going to lose. And don't be surprised when you keep bringing guns to gunfights and then somebody else decides to start shooting back. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think this is a degradation of society as a whole. And ultimately, the real burden of responsibility here doesn't really fall on influencers, and I don't think that it falls even on the commenters themselves. I think it falls primarily on the government. The fact is that the government, there are already laws that permit, explicit calls to violence. There's already laws that permit the types of stalking and doxing that people engage in online. And one of the big things that is a misconception is that people like me want new laws. We want any form of extra censorship at all. I certainly don't want that.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody else that does either. But what we do want
I think
want
censorship is bad.
laws to be applied and to be enforced in an accurate and a fair way, which is clearly not what's happening.
You're enforcing laws and enforcing laws fairly? What a crazy idea. We should start doing that and then get rid of the redundant ones. Get rid of the redundant laws and then enforce the ones that exist. There's so many layers upon layers of nonsense. It probably makes it harder to enforce laws, honestly. Easy. Let's start small. Have YouTube enforce equality first. Good luck. Good luck. Censorship industrial complex plays a part in the stochastic outcomes. Wow, coming in here with those SAT words. Censorship, the algorithms censoring opinions that you don't agree with on the internet. Only for you, though. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's going to end with Charlie Kirk's death, if I'm being honest. It wouldn't surprise me if someone went after Ben Shapiro next on the list. I hope not. I hope that there's not some deranged killer out there with a list of mildly right-wing actors and influencers out there offing them. Let's be honest. Charlie Kirk, whether you disagree with him or not, he's a peaceful guy, holding open forums, literally just talking. When you kill someone like that, they become a martyr. When you kill someone who's actively violent, then you don't become a martyr, usually. With all the stupid race riots over police killing someone who was doing things illegal. Maybe I'm wrong. But killing peaceful people makes them a martyr. That is not good for maintaining peace. Martyrs make people angry. Martyrs make people violent because their belief system is under attack. And if it continues, then the violence will start coming from both sides, which is the last thing I want.
And really, the government not doing that and giving this asymmetrical, in my opinion, advantage to left-wing people to fully and with complete freedom practice genuine terrorism on a daily basis, and then, congratulate each other about how moral and how good they are for doing it because something bad that happened in Palestine or something bad that Donald Trump did 3 years ago. This is just simply a response. This is what's going to happen. And so, and I think that that's probably what it's going to take for these left-wing people to realize what a bad idea what they've been doing is. Because until it starts happening to them, until they start having people that are their friends or, their, like icons that they look up to, the same way people looked up to Charlie Kirk, until they start seeing those people get killed, I don't think it's really going to be real for them. And unfortunately, I think that's the path that we're headed down because of the government and social media companies and every other seemingly governmental apparatus that has just completely hand-waved this problem and ignored it entirely. So
we're talking about a problem that is perpetuated by social media and by the internet. Meanwhile, the government is run by people who don't know how to save a Microsoft document as a PDF. The people making the laws don't know how to function technology at this point. The people making the laws are out of touch. They don't know what's happening, and it's unacceptable. I am mainly a firearms VTuber, so I see that a lot. But with the internet as well, with AI, with censorship laws, they're being written by people who have no idea what it even means. Onion. So I don't even know my own opinion, but just a question that comes to mind. How does this compare to the healthcare CEO assassination? The healthcare CEO assassination was a hit on a guy, I think it was like on his way home from work, like walking down the sidewalk. The Charlie Kirk thing, it happened in front of an audience. He was a massive influential political figure. The healthcare guy, very important figure in healthcare, but most people didn't know who he was. The vast majority of people, if you said the healthcare CEO guy's name, which I don't even remember, wouldn't have known who it is. Important guy, not a public figure. Charlie Kirk's a public figure, and he was assassinated at an event in front of hundreds of people. Now, I do think the healthcare guy could be related to this, because after the healthcare CEO guy was killed, there were so many internet schizos who praised the guy who murdered him. And what that did is, it was like, hey, yo, if I am a little bit deranged anyways, and I see people on the internet praising someone for murdering someone who they disagreed with, maybe I might try that. You know, if I was deranged and a little crazy anyways, it's not the same. It's very different circumstances. I could definitely see the two being related, kind of distantly.
The death of Charlie Kirk and the assassination of him should not come as a surprise to anyone. This should be something that everybody could have expected. All you had to do is read Twitter for an hour and you could have told me this would have happened, of course. Same with Reddit. And until that core problem is addressed, you will continue to see a rapid decline in any type of social discourse. And I'm actually kind of afraid to see what's going to happen next, because I think it's just going to continue getting worse, and I don't see the reason for it to stop.
Unfortunately.
And so anyway,
I think he might be right. I hope not.
Because it's obviously a topic that, you know, I've been talking about this a lot for the past few years now, and I was laughed at a lot, and people were telling me it wasn't that big of a deal, and oh, they were joking. Well, I saw the video. That wasn't a joke. And the reality is that those jokes and everything create a culture and an environment where the actual actions are more permissible. And you also have people that are the ones telling the quote jokes that are talking around just, you know, directly, you know, saying that this is a bad thing and it shouldn't be tolerated for any reason. You have, I don't want to go through a bunch of different names, but anybody, this is the way I look at it. I'm just going to make a categorical judgment here. Is that dangerous. Any content creator or anybody like this who has been advocating for violence against a person in an extrajudicial way. I'm not talking about trying people who they disagree.
Well, usually a categorical generalization is bad. If you repeatedly call for violence, I think we can categorize you.
Disagree with for treason. This is advocating for the judicial process to be used against people they disagree with. I think that's fine. But whenever you have people that are saying things like 8647, or anybody who's advocating for any form of extrajudicial justice, extrajudicial justice, and basically vigilante justice on people who they disagree with politically, you have to realize that all of those people, I think, have made themselves acceptable targets. And I think that there's a lot and millions of people out there nowadays that see that. And I think that that should be extremely worrying for them. It should be terrifying. But the reality is that they have created that environment themselves through their own actions, through their behavior, and through their own words. You reap what you sow. And I think that things are about to get a whole lot worse. So anyway, guys, I wanted to make this video and talk about it.
It's unfortunate, and I hope not, but it's very possible he's going to be right. And I definitely condone... I condone violence against people, chat. Don't do that. But the people calling for violence are opening themselves up to violence, which is ironic because a lot of the people calling for violence think that there already is a threat of violence against them, but really they're just becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy because they're delusional.
And that's about all I've got to say. So I hope to be back soon. I'll record videos when I can here and there, but for the most part, as I said before, my dad has had so many really serious issues going on. I need to devote my full attention to making sure that he's healthy.
Hopefully he mainly takes care of his dad. I was surprised to see a video from him. I thought he was on break, which he was.
Taken care of. And so as much as I look forward to streaming, this has to take priority. I don't have a time frame. It will probably be a matter of weeks. and maybe not even that long until I'm back regularly. And so hopefully that's the case. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, another senseless death that never needed to happen. And I think that anybody who was, talking about this and turning up the heat on any of this type of political rhetoric and discussing, or at least, flirting with the idea of political violence, I think all of those people have made themselves acceptable targets in all of the worst ways possible. And I don't think that this is a good thing either.
Yeah.
But I think it's happening.
It's
so
bad.
Anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching. And I guess I'll see you soon. Anyway, peace.
Chad, I hope he's wrong. I hope he's wrong. So much I hope he's wrong. We'll see. Only time will tell.